Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and someone sent me a link to an article that came out less than a week ago from Business Insider, and I thought it was interesting that I would share it with you guys, so I'm going to link it down below. And let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilled up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright, you guys kind of know my stance on supplements these days. I am one of those people that I've been leaning more and more into the direction over the years that maybe the entire supplement industry itself is actually a problem. Maybe it is actually a problem. Maybe it's not in our best interest. And I'm saying that as someone who's pro-capitalist, I'm pro-business, but I'm pro-ethical business. I even believe in the government shouldn't get particularly involved in business until they have to. But here's the situation that we have. You know, everyone likes to talk about these big businesses, big pharma, big oil, everything else, and they want to talk about the negatives of it, but many people don't seem to grasp, because a lot of hippie types and other people say those things, but then they'll buy herbal supplements in the supplement industry. Well, here's the thing. The supplement industry, as of the 90s, turned into something different than it used to be. I'm not saying the Joe Weider stuff wasn't always bad, but in the 90s, the laws changed. The FDA's laws, and this is because of bills that got pushed through, again, special interest involved, back when the supplement industry was only a $4 to $5 billion a year business, right? 4 or 5 billion. Laws got pushed through that removed the level of regulation allowed in it. Meaning, as long as it put disclaimers, you know that FDA disclaimer I discussed yesterday? That if they put that on there, that they didn't have to have the same level of proof anymore for their products. In other words, supplements could be released with, number one, without proving that they actually work. Number two, without having to prove their long-term safety. Without having to prove their long-term safety. And that's the big kicker that you guys need to understand when you're talking about just buying these things. While everyone else is taking them, they're all good. These are products that are not required by law to prove that they're safe and not going to kill you or hurt you or give you cancer or anything else. There's no regulations there. These companies can just kick these products out with a minimal review. And everyone wants to put it in their body. It's popular and it's trendy. And what they covered in this article, they discussed some of that, but they also discussed that it's now a $37 billion a year industry that is minimally regulated. And it actually is hurting people. A lot of doctors, a lot of experts have a lot of horror stories of just various supplements harming people. And one of them they talked about in the story was a pregnant woman who got, I guess, a major infection at the end of her pregnancy and had been taking St. John's wort. Well, because she was just taking an over-the-counter herb, it's just a natural herb, right? Well, the problem is that St. John's wort has counterindications with medications. It affects the way that your body metabolizes several medications, including some antibiotics. She was given an antibiotic that St. John's wort impacts the way the body metabolizes it and reduces the effectiveness of it. So she had a major infection that wasn't being treated correctly in the middle of her going into labor. And there were major problems with the child as a result of this. Purely because she was taking an over-the-counter product, St. John's wort, without finding out if there were any medical complications. Because that's the thing, they don't tell you on the labels, hey, you can't take St. John's wort with antibiotics. That's not necessarily on the label. It's just an over-the-counter product, right? It couldn't possibly kill you if you combine it with the wrong medicine. Or can it? Or can it kill your baby? Because no one thinks of them that way. They don't understand these things, and because they aren't regulated that much, it's just something that you take for your health. The problem is that they cause a lot of harm. And like even this Business Insider pointed out, the FDA is having a crackdown on it because there's been tons of illegal drugs are put into these products. They require the companies to label the products, right? They may not regulate them a lot, but they at least require them to label what's in it. And you know what? That's not business being interfered with. Requiring business to, when they sell you a product, to tell you what's actually in it, that's not an unreasonable restriction. I think even most libertarian types, which I follow in that direction, would look at that and say, well, that's not an unreasonable restriction in business that a company's required to tell you what they're selling you. They're legally required to tell you what you're buying as a consumer. Well, yeah, I think that's a good thing. That's one of the few sorts of regulations even I would support. but they're finding that they're putting stuff in them that isn't on the label. Causes people to fail drug tests, causes other further counterindications, and that's a big problem. A lot of people take products and they're not aware. A lot of your over-the-counter supplements have meth in them, meth analogs, various anabolics, things like that. Well, what's the problem with that? What happens when you're taking a product that has a stimulant in it, an amphetamine in it that you don't know is in there? That might not seem like a big deal till you fail a drug test or you lose your job. Might not seem like a big deal until you take it and not realize that it has a counterindication with some other substance that you might be taking. Because what happens when you get two different drugs that have a counterindication and maybe something gets put into another supplement illegally, you taking two substances you don't know you're taking? What happens if they have a negative reaction when mixed together in the body? You were just taking a pre-workout and a protein powder and a weight gainer and you drop dead. This shit does happen. This is a problem. Like I said, until it kills you or hurts you or you have a conflict with something else that you're taking, maybe you do go take some party drugs. But the stuff that you mix with your supplement ends up killing you. Not real fun at that point, is it? Because that's the thing. This industry doesn't have ethics. It doesn't care about you. It's now a $37 billion a year industry with minimal regulations. And they're caught all the time breaking the laws. Even though there's almost no regulations in place, these companies are caught all the time by the FDA, still breaking the very few laws in place. Like if you put anything in there, it needs to be on the label. They can't even get that right. Oh, don't put any illegal drugs in it. We're not going to regulate it. You can put dangerous stuff in there. You can put dangerous stuff in there that isn't proven to be safe, just no illegal dangerous stuff. They can't even follow that. They can't just kill you with the stuff that they're allowed to kill you with because it's not proven to be safe. That's not even good enough for this industry. No, they got to throw meth analogs in it. They got to throw 17 methyl group anabolics in there that are way more liver toxic than the black market stuff. They have to throw that in there. I mean, why not, right? Not like they care if you die. There's just going to be another group of consumers in 3 or 4 years, and this next batch of teenagers decides they need to bulk up or get healthy or get jacked, right? Who cares? Who cares if you die? There'll be a bunch of more dumbasses to replace you. Thank you for the money. That's what you're dealing with. And it's not much better on the vitamin end. How many of these herbal supplements turn out to have conflicts with your medications? Tons of them. St. John's wort, perfect example. How many of these vitamins turn out to not even have the vitamins in them that are supposed to be in them? How many of them pump you full of vitamins that your body can't even absorb in the form they're in, or that create an absorption conflict and cause you to overdose on metals? It's just a vitamin, right? It's just an herb, right? Couldn't possibly hurt you. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case, and the benefits themselves have become questionable. And this is a pro-business, generally conservative news organization now reporting on this. You need to let that sink in. The supplement industry kind of went a certain direction a while back, but laws are changing in this country. Look how much they're cracking down on anabolics right now. Look how hard they're cracking down on steroids. We're seeing it just on YouTube. You think eventually when Business Insider's writing articles like this, when doctors are talking about this, you don't think they're about to crack down on this supplement industry? When that happens, all these YouTubers have been making their money in the supplement game. What are you going to do now? You're going to need your ads. You're going to need to kick your views up a notch when that money dries up. Because if the government does get involved and say, okay guys, enough is enough, we're going to drop this original law. You now have to prove your products are safe before you can sell them. You have to prove it won't kill people before you're allowed to sell it. Supplement industry only makes $37 billion a year. They're not going to come up with that sort of money for testing. They're going to go bankrupt. They're not going to be able to sell anything for the next 3 years. They're going to have to prove it's all safe with millions and millions of dollars in studies on every product if that happens. And this is Business Insider even saying, hey, why aren't we regulating them the way that we regulate food? Why aren't we regulating them the way that we regulate medications? You can't sell stuff to people that's going to kill them. Unless they know it's going to kill them. You got to put a warning saying this product could kill you, like the Surgeon General's warning on cigarettes. Because here's the thing, how many people are going to buy supplements if they get a big Surgeon General's warning on it like that, huh? Instead of this FDA warning, it sure hasn't stopped people from buying $37 billion a year worth. But that's because they removed the restrictions. They've been allowed to expand their market. What happens when they reel that back in and say, no, you actually have to prove this stuff is beneficial and prove that it doesn't hurt people before you can sell it? What happens when they do that? Now you have all the supplement people screaming, oh, they're evil, they're restricting us for no reason. That's what they're going to scream. Same way big tobacco screams. Because they have to put a Surgeon General's warning on their thing that, hey, this product kills you. They actually do anything like that to the supplement industry, that'll be the death of this industry. And I, for one, watching the tactics that they use, I'll be supporting it. I'll be right behind the FDA on that one if that happens. Well, let's sit back and watch and see. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.